All right, welcome back. It's time for another TOEFL Excellence video summary, and this one is going to be about the second integrated task in the speaking section. This is the one about the academic course, and you're going to be combining information. Now, this is another one where you are reading a passage, listening to an audio file, and then you have to speak about the relation between the information in both the reading passage and the audio file. Now, this particular task is oftentimes referred to as speaking section question 4. Now, as you know from watching the other videos, these are not actually questions, these are tasks, and that's why I refer to it as integrated task 2. So, let's take a look at what you need for this particular task. All right, so as always, you need the ability to focus because, as I've said in other videos, everybody in the room on testing day is going to start speaking at exactly the same time. So it could get a little bit noisy in the room when you're actually doing the exam. So you have to be able to focus on what you're doing and block out the distractions of everybody else speaking at the same time. As always, you need to have the intermediate level of English skills and vocabulary. Also, as I've stated in other videos, about the TOEFL vocabulary database. If you need to expand your vocabulary and improve your vocabulary skills, you can press that word. Or we also have a link in the top toolbar there. That will take you to the vocabulary database. There are thousands of words here that are all going to be beneficial for you, not just for the test. You don't need to learn 3,000 words for the exam. In fact, you probably already know most of the words in the list. But one of the ways that I talk about how you can improve your skills is when you're going through the different lists here. They're broken up into 3 different pages. When you're going through the list of words, anytime that you find one that you don't know, you can just click on the word. It takes you to the pronunciation database where it tells you how to pronounce the word. And then if you click on the word there, it takes you to the Wiktionary entry so you can learn more about the words. So everything is linked there, and that's a great way to expand your vocabulary. So back to the task though. So you need to have that intermediate level of English skills and vocabulary so that you can comprehend the directions in the exam. And also really, if you don't have this, then you not only won't be able to pass the TOEFL exam, but you won't be able to function in an English-speaking university. So you'll also have to be able to speak in a noisy room without being distracted, as I mentioned about remaining focused. You have to have the ability to recognize the main idea and supporting details of a written text. This is the same as with all of the reading passages that you went through in the reading section. You have to have the ability to recognize the main idea and supporting details of a listening file. And the listening file for this one is very similar to the types of listening files that you would have heard in the listening section. You have to have the ability to summarize information from 2 different sources. In other words, to describe the information that was given in a very brief manner. And you have to have the ability to formulate your response in 30 seconds and to express that response fully in 60 seconds. All right, so let's take a look at this. Now, the last integrated task, you had a similar situation. You read a passage and you listened to some people speaking about it, and then you had to combine that information. This one, instead of a conversation, the information is academic, but you're really doing the same thing as far as how you have to fulfill the task. Now, let's take a look at one of the examples. So on the example pages, you'll notice that I give some brief description of the experience. When you're sitting there on exam day, you're going to hear the directions for the task. But since you're going through this course, you're already going to know what the directions are for this task. So in that time that the directions are playing, you can take that time to just close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, and relax, because you're not going to be able to do anything until you actually see the reading passage. Now, the reading passage, as you can see, it's about the same length as the last integrated task. It's a very short passage, and it just introduces some topic. So the topic is almost always the title. It introduces the topic of social interaction, and then it talks a little bit more, in this particular example, it talks a little bit more about what that is. So it's going to give you the main idea, and then at least 2 supporting details. And that's really what you write on your notes, what the main idea is, what the main topic is, and the 2 supporting details about that. And they might even give an example. So it's very brief, and then in the audio file, you hear someone speaking about that. Now, as you can see, it's kind of a short audio file, but it's certainly much longer than 1 minute. And so you have to combine this information and the information that you hear in the audio file, which is, about 2.5 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes. You have to combine that into a response that's only 60 seconds long. So basically what happens, as I said, the reading passage introduces the topic and gives you a brief description of it. And then in the audio file, the person who is speaking is always going to be doing one of three things. They're going to be supporting the idea or supporting the topic, giving more information about it. They're going to contrast the topic. In other words, they're going to say something about it that goes against what it is, like they disagree with the ideas that are stated, or they're going to provide some sort of example. In other words, they use an example to illustrate the topic a little bit better. Now, in the official video, they mention that the audio file is always going to give some sort of example, but that's not always true. Sometimes they will give more information about it. They often do give an example because that's a great way to help explain the topic a little bit further. But it is possible that it could be some sort of a scientific theory. And now theories are not proven, so it is possible for someone to disagree with a certain theory. So that is something that could happen in the audio file. So you have to be able to briefly mention what the main idea is and the supporting details, and then just like with the last task, you immediately start talking about what the person said. They either gave more information about the idea, like they supported the idea, they provided an example for the idea, or they contradicted the idea. And you basically just formulate your response in the same way that you would with the last task. The main difference here is just that you're dealing with an academic subject. So you're not dealing with a conversation about people talking about their opinion of something. You're learning about some topic like you would in a classroom situation, and then you listen to the lecturer or the professor speak about that topic. So really, that's it. Other than the informational difference between this one and the last one, what you actually have to do to fulfill the task is really just the same. Now, another thing in the video, they combined this with Speaking Task 6. Now, this Speaking Task 6 is actually quite different than Speaking Task 4 or the Integrated Task 2. The reason that they combine them together in this video, though, is because both of those are academic course ones. So we have two tasks in the speaking section that are having to do with listening to people having a conversation, and then you have two tasks that are dealing with an academic topic. But the actual action of fulfilling this task is very similar to the last one. So if you remember the strategies and tips about how to answer the last particular integrated task, the first integrated task, then you use the same sort of formula to answer this one. The only difference is the information that you're going to be speaking about. And that's pretty much it for the summary of this task. In the next video, we will be going over the actual strategy. So thank you for stopping by, and we will see you in that next lesson.